Flamio once again. And welcome to the InnerMedia podcast. I'm Josh Karam, and with me as always is Ted Karam.
Hey guys.
Now you may be looking down at my shirt and being like, Uncle Iroh, are they just going to talk about Avatar again? Well, yes!
Yes, we are.
But this is our Uncle Iroh episode. Now usually we're ones who do like, okay, this is the episode, or this is like episodes in the season
right,
from the past Avatar
that.
stuff we've done. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen other Avatar episodes we do, just go to the InnerMedia YouTube, check it out. It's pretty good, you know, other stuff we've done. We're just going to be doing Iroh himself, because I think he is one of the driving forces of
so
the spiritual.
much wisdom.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Everything he says, just
so much
throughout it, and just such a great character for us. Everything we talked about in the past, right? Breaking the wheel, not falling into the same things of light and dark. Someone who is like the brother of the evil Fire Lord, but he's a great person.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the quotes of Iroh. We took some of our favorite quotes. We're going to talk about them. Maybe we'll decide which one we personally like the most.
Yeah.
And just have a fun time talking, almost like we're having an Iroh tea chat. Pretend that this isn't water and this is tea, and then it's Iroh's deal.
At the Jasmine Dragon.
It's the dragon, best tea in Ba Sing Se.
Oh, yeah.
And that was his destiny in some way, wasn't it? So, this I won't say... we kind of do spoilers in it. I gotta be fair, right? It feels though it's gonna be plots of the show. So
throughout the whole, all of it, then, because these come from a lot of shows.
Exactly. This is all across the entire 3-season arc of the show. So make sure if you want to hear the wisdom, you can hear the quote. You know, skip around, hear the quote, but we will talk about the show. So spoiler alert, right here. Master Wizard Jedi, Iroh's a great master, and it's not just going to be one quote. We're going to be doing so many quotes from Iroh.
Yeah.
So let us start with, we kind of just compiled a list. We're going to just start from the top of the list of what we compiled here. Sometimes the best way to solve your own problems is to help someone else.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty powerful, especially coming from someone who's the Fire Nation, which their entire model, based on what Sozin said, was like, we are great.
Right.
And we must share our greatness with the world.
world.
Yeah, it's their image of what is perfection, and they shared with everyone else.
Yeah.
So it's like an amazing thing to think, like, how did Iroh come to this conclusion, right? Like,
will enlighten the world is normally the Fire Nation's perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, to think of everything they done, like the world was starting just to become more fire as it expanded the Earth and the Air Nation. So let's dive into it.
Yeah,
Iroh, how did he come to this? Yeah,
this is great. Again, the best way to solve your own problems is to help someone else. And so why would that be true? Because it shifts. You know, when we reach out and we give, when we're helping others, there's a shift that happens in us, a shift in our vibration. We move from a problem-centric vibration to a solution, to an answer-centric vibration and energy. And how do we do that? We actually get beyond ourselves. We get beyond our conditioning and all of our issues and problems, and we reach out to be there for someone else. When we do that, we connect with the whole of being. And as a result, helping others draws that energy through us. It draws it out of us. And it's that energy, it's that connectedness with the whole that ultimately causes us to realize on a deeper level that all problems are really one problem. And the problem is separation from source. The problem is believing in lack and limitation and separation, and then living into those beliefs. Yes. And so when we give from our hearts, when we start helping others, what happens is that energy starts flowing through us again, and it starts connecting us. Remember, use the force, Luke, right? It connects us with the whole of life. And now all of a sudden, that inner light, that inner truth starts shining forth through you as you give from your heart, as you extend that energy. And it's that light that's coming forth, that energy that's shining through you, that lights you up. What does it do? It lights you up. It dispels the darkness. It dissolves the shadows of separation, lack, and limitation. Yeah. And so now it solves the one problem that appeared to be the infinite problems of the world, all the problems of the world, all the problems of your life, my life, everybody's lives. We all have our unique set of problems. but they're ultimately all one.
Yeah, I mean, like, take a look at the show, right? Aang helps everyone that he encounters. It's like a Kwai Chang Caine character. Yeah. And in the end, these people help him in return. They're allies for him in his grand problem of,
That's right.
I have to defeat the Fire Lord before Sozin's comet.
Right.
So all those people he helps along the way come back to him, and their problems help him solve his problem.
Life is like a mirror. What we send out comes back to us. What we give, we receive. Yeah. It's really that simple, but we forget it all the time. We don't realize that we're all one.
Yeah.
And so by helping others, we're really helping. If life is a mirror, we're really helping ourselves.
Definitely. And if we look from Iroh himself, who gave this piece of advice, this in the end helps him, because I'm going to just throw in another Iroh quote because they kind of tie into each other. So Iroh tells Zuko that failure is only the opportunity to begin again. Iroh failed when he tried to take Ba Sing Se.
Right.
But that failure was only for him to realize that he must help Ba Sing Se, because the beginning again, the failure that he had was to prove his true purpose was helping the city, for it gives him his destiny of running a tea shop, right?
Right.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. So he was going to take Ba Sing Se, but he was taking it back from the Fire Nation.
Yeah.
And giving it back to itself. And this is what's so important about, as you mentioned, Josh, this is another great wisdom from Uncle Iroh. Failure is only an opportunity to begin again, right? We talked about this before. In life, that we have experiences through which we learn and grow. We're always growing, unfolding, developing. And so we really don't have failures. We think we have successes and failures. What we have is experiences through which we learn and grow. So none of us are perfect here, right? In this world, perfection doesn't manifest. Why? Because this is the world of symbols and forms. What are they? They're all limited. Everything is limited, including the human body. It's limited. So there's a light, there's an unlimited nature of you shining through this body, shining through your form. But nothing is perfect in this world. And so we constantly bump up against this, well, I failed, I didn't succeed, I didn't accomplish, I didn't achieve. No, whenever you bring the fullness of your being to this moment, that's success. That's showing up for life. And then whatever unfolds. And then sometimes things go the way we think they should and the way we want them to. And other times they don't. But it creates opportunities for us to actually discover something even deeper within ourselves, something even to be able to step back even further. It's an opportunity to see a larger picture of reality, a larger picture of life itself.
And it's definitely hard for Iroh. I assume we don't get much of the backstory of Iroh to how he came from war general to being one of the wisest characters in all of television history. I'm going to say it.
Yeah, he is.
But one of the other quotes that he says, it is important to draw wisdom from many different places. And this is from one of our favorite episodes, Bitter Work, that we talked about before, where Aang's learning from Toph, and also Zuko is learning from Iroh. That's where this quote comes from. And I think it's a good question to ask, because clearly Iroh gained this wisdom from helping other people, you know what I mean? And he helped himself in turn. How, when you're in such a mindset of like, well, I'm in the Fire Nation and it's perfect, like Sozin couldn't break it, and a lot of people in the Fire Nation, except for the Firebending Master, and very few of them broke the idea of that. Right. How do you learn from other people? And it might be a repeat from last time, when you look over there and like, we don't get to see it as much, but like waterbending and firebending, for like, if I was a waterbender and I looked at a firebender, I'd be like, that's not me. That's a completely different element.
So different, right?
What am I going to learn from that? Yeah, it's not water.
Right. And this is so important. It's so important for us to remember that there's only the one. There's only the one. You, I, this plant, this room, the tree, the rock, the mountain, everything that's a thing that manifests in the world of form we'd say this all the time. It's a wave.
Yeah.
It's a waveform upon what? The ocean, right? So we believe that, well, these waves are like us and we're all a group, and, we give ourselves a label and a name, and we know ourselves, and this is right and this is good. And you over there, well, we're not so sure. You're different. You're strange. We don't know what you're all about. We fear you, or we need to be concerned about you. We forget that every wave, everything is the same water. Every wave is filled, every form is filled with the same life-giving energy. There's only the ocean, in other words.
Yeah.
So when we recognize that all things are one, that the water in every wave is the one expressing its uniqueness, its diversity. You know, it's the one coming forth as the contrast, as the infinite diversity, because it wants to experience itself in every possible way.
Yeah.
That's the quantum model. Infinite possibilities of divine good exist where, here, when, now. So, you know, it's so important, as Uncle Iroh says, to draw wisdom from many different places.
Yeah.
From the other teachings, from the other elements, from the other cultures, the other traditions. Why? Because when we do, that's where new and inspired, unprecedented insights come from. We begin to glean things. We begin to step beyond the known. Very important. Get beyond into the unknown, and that's where new solutions and new ideas come from that are just never occurred to us before. And that's why when he was studying, remember he said, I studied the water benders to learn how to bend lightning, right?
Yeah.
So when we open up, when we're not so close-minded, when we open our hearts, open our minds, and we realize that there's something in everything for us, a gift, wisdom, insight. There's an answer right before us that we're looking for, that if we would only open ourselves to it, especially in the unknown, that we can actually have new inspiration, new ideas.
Definitely. And I mean, if you look at just the show itself, like, Toph discovers metal bending, right? But for years before that, it's like metal's not Earth.
It's not.
We can't bend that.
Yeah,
and it's crazy to think, because even within one's own narrow mindset, you can't even see the possibility of what is malleable by you, which is crazy, I find.
And this gets back to the whole insight and inspiration from other places. One of the most important other places isn't just other people and other cultures, and that is very important, very primary. But also when we learn to get still. Remember, we talk about a meditation or prayer. When we learn to get present, when we learn to be still, we tap into and tune into an intelligence that's beyond the world, that informs everything. And so now we say that, we've said this many times. We as an instrument tune that instrument in harmony with the symphony of life. Okay, so now we're being informed by the unknown, the invisible energy of our own being. All right, so it's not just the forms, but it's that which is beyond form, that which comes from within us.
So the next quote that we have here is the big moment at the basement of Lake Laogai. Basement, it's a lake. We'll just say
facility under the water.
That would be the correct term. Which Iroh confronts Zuko with, it's time for you to look inward and start asking yourself the big question. Who are you and what do you want?
Oh, wow.
Got to put the emphasis on the you, because that's the most important part of this.
Yeah.
And, oh God, Zuko is so beautifully deep as a character, because him just, like, breaking down in anger is, like, the perfect response for what's built up in there. Even though, let's say, Zuko earlier, when he's defending that Earth Nation village from those, Earth bandits, he learned a lot about himself by helping others. But he really never looks within himself for the answers ever. So how do you, when you're someone who is so convinced with the idea that once I restore my honor and do this task for my father,
then all will be well. Yeah.
How do you get past that? Because Zuko was young. He was like 13 when his father burned him. How do you get past that?
It's a great question. And Josh, that's what we're up against, all of us in life, right? We're constantly looking out there for the answer. We're constantly looking, tell me what to do and I'll do it, and then I'll be happy, or I'll be successful, or I'll get my honor, or I'll restore my honor. In other words, that's outward referenced. What Zuko goes through in a transformation, it's just an amazing character that he is he goes from outward reference and focused, you tell me I'm good, you accept me, you love me, you say I'm okay, to his own self-reference, his own knowing thyself, his own being the truth, and finding the resolve, the courage, the energy to stand in that truth and act upon it. And as Iroh says, it's time for you to look inward, look inside, and start asking yourself the big questions. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you really? We're not just talking about your name and your history and your set of and what past you've had, but who are you really? Who is your true, authentic self? What is your true nature? That's what Iroh's always asking him to do, to find, to know. And what do you want? What's important to you? Not what someone else wants, not what the world wants, not what your parents or your teachers or anyone else wants. What do you want?
Yeah.
So important. Because right now in life, there's so much uncertainty.
Yeah.
We're all being called to reinvent ourselves, right? So we're constantly needing to find that direction. Who are we? What are we to do in this new environment, in this new world? And we can look outside to the past, to what was, but the answers aren't there.
Yeah.
We need to turn within and unify with the whole of life to become inspired by a wisdom that's beyond form, that's beyond the world. And what does that do? It allows that energy, that infinite harmony of the whole to move through us as a unique instrument in the symphony and bring unprecedented answers, unprecedented solutions that we didn't even know, like Aang taking away the bending at the end of that last one. Yeah. He didn't even know he could do that.
No, he could do it.
So this is you don't even know the greatness that's in you. You don't even know. We don't even know it. We don't realize it. Part of us doesn't even believe it, and yet there is a part of us, that divine within us, that spark of the divine that never forgets.
I also wanted to throw on top quickly that Iroh comes from a place of understanding Zuko's conundrum, I assume, because he was supposed to be Fire Lord. He was supposed to be this great war general, but he didn't. He stepped away from all of it. He figured out who he was.
He walked his own path.
Yeah, because if he back then was like going to tell Sozin, I'm going to own a tea shop in the enemy capital, people will be like, no, that's not your destiny. That will bring great dishonor.
Right.
And the end is sort of like, sometimes life is like this dark tunnel. You can't always see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if you just keep moving, you will come to a better place. And I think that sums up perfectly that unknown that is scary to sometimes go for. Like Zuko giving up this one thing that he thought he want, or Iroh giving it up too. I mean, that's crazy, right?
Right.
There's all of this in front of you, your destiny.
Your destiny.
And just to let that all go away,
And it's so, again, remember we talked when we were doing the InnerMedia on Soul?
Yeah.
And Joe? And he always wanted to play the piano, and that's all he wanted to do, and that was it for him. That's what caused him to light up. That was his passion. That was his purpose. And yet, the realization that, you can really get transfixed on trying to get somewhere and trying to be somewhere, that you're never here. You're never experiencing the magic of life. You're never in the fulfillment and the joy of the present moment. And that's really what it's all about. Life is for the living. Life is to live every moment, independent of what you're doing. Because it's not what you're doing that connects you with the magic. It's coming into harmony with your being.
Yeah.
Okay? And so that's what he realizes. No one can predict the future. Why? Because we've never been here before. This is such a different time. So there's so much fear, anxiety, constant worry because of the mind's incessant need to be able to predict the future. Where what we can do instead in this time is to use this as an opportunity to come home, to turn within, to realize, okay, life is like a dark tunnel. We can't see very far. But to remember that our vibration is everything. As we sow, so shall we reap. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Everything we send out comes back to us. What we give, we receive. Right? We talked about that in the very beginning here. So all we need to do is find the peace of the present moment that's always there. Right? We said this. There's a peace, there's a calm. Where? In the ocean of one.
Yeah.
Not on the surface of the ocean, not with all the turmoil and all the chaos up here on the surface and all the waves banging around and it just looks like chaos and uncertainty. We need to come home, turn within, and sink down into the depths of our being. What does that do? It draws us into the ocean. As we come down to the ocean, what happens? We find stillness, we find calm. We enter that state of grace in this moment where we are renewed again, refilled again. And so now that becomes the vibration we're offering here and now. And even though we can't see far away, we're now dropping water drops of wholeness, of happiness, of joy, of peace, of fulfillment here and now in this moment. And what does that do? Those ripples go out. Those are the waves that precede us, and that becomes our future. So the future takes care of itself as long as we're holding the right vibration, being true to ourselves here and now.
Yeah. Hope is something you give yourself. That is the meaning of inner strength. And I think that just, it's really well summed up by Iroh, I think, as well. The idea that, like, hope can be a beggar, right? So it's bad to, like, try to get hope from somebody else. But it is just that looking within.
Right.
And it can light yourself up and give you that strength.
Exactly. I mean, hope is something you give yourself. It's such great wisdom. Hope flows from a vision of possibility, from a vision of renewal, a vision of healing, a vision of wholeness, a vision of well-being. It's an energetic vitality that is the meaning of inner strength. It's a vitality, an energy that flows through you when you're lit up. When you're lit up, that's where that resolve comes from. That's where the courage flows from. That's where that strength comes from. It becomes you when you're unified with the source of life. It lights you up from within. That's the power, that energy, that wholeness. That's the power that creates the whole universe. And when you're one with it, when you're unified with it, when you're in league with it, when you're lit up from within with it, all of a sudden now you have the resolve. Now you have what's called courage, that inner strength. That's just being your true self. That's just being the real you. That's just being your authentic self.
Definitely.
And that's where, you have hope. There's hopefulness in you because you're connected to something far larger than the small picture of the physical form, something far larger than the perception of chaos and uncertainty in the unknown, just at all the waves banging around, just at the surface level of consciousness.
Great. Let me toss out a couple more Iroh quotes here. So the next one that I have here is, while it is always best to believe in oneself, a little help from others can be a great blessing. I think that one also sums up what we were talking about before with sometimes the best way to solve your own problems is to help someone else.
Yes.
That this is all one.
This
problem,
is all
right?
part of
That's
it. Giving is receiving, receiving is giving. Who are we really giving to?
Yeah.
Who is there really out there? There's all the waves, right? But what are the waves really? We just said they're all what? They're all one ocean. So what is really giving? Giving, we're giving to ourselves constantly.
Yeah.
We're giving to each other constantly. And, when Iroh says it's beautiful, right? To be able to receive help. A lot of us don't receive help very well. Don't allow people to give to us. We love it when people allow us to give because it makes us feel united with the whole of life, with the one, with divine. But we don't always allow people to give to us. We feel like, we're needy or we'll be indebted. Allow yourself to receive from others. Why? Because who are others? But the divine, the one divine ocean, disguised as different waves.
Yeah, and even look at it from the perspective of Iroh, who helped Zuko on this 3-year mission constantly. You know what I mean? It might seem crazy to people, like, this is a wild goose chase. Why would anyone sign on to that?
Yeah, that's a crazy mission,
But
right?
he was just helping others. You find the answers for yourself.
Helping others is helping yourself, because ultimately, there are no others.
Yeah.
There's only one of us here. There's only one life. There's only one family. There's only one being that we're all a part of.
Yeah, and on this quest, honor keeps popping through my head.
Honor.
Because this next quote that we have, of course.
Right?
Yeah. So it's constantly about restoring honor. And we talked about this a little bit in the chakra episode as well with the guru.
Yeah.
With pride is not the opposite of shame, but its source. True humility is the only antidote to shame.
Oh gosh, that is beautiful.
Which I think is so passionate when someone is consumed by restoring my honor, my pride,
my sense of individuality.
Exactly.
Let me draw. Let me put a blanket over the outside of that wave and really separate myself from everything else. Right. Pride is the ego. Right.
Yeah.
Edging good out. Right. So ego. So pride. This is beautiful quote. Yeah. Pride is not the opposite of shame, but its source.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, think
right?
about that.
Yeah.
Our egos falsely believe that it's me. I'm the power. I'm the wisdom. I'm the intelligence. I'm the light. In other words, the little wave says, "I'm the ocean." That's what we're doing when we feel pride, and we're saying that it was because of me and my uniqueness and my individuality. That's how I created this or I did that, and that's really just comes from a mind of separation.
Yeah.
And what that does is it leaves us it inflates us temporarily. The ego gets inflated, but then it quickly is like a balloon. It deflates. Why? Because the ego, the wave form, isn't really a separate entity.
No.
There really is no separate entity. It looks that way, but we're all part of the ocean.
Yeah.
We're all filled moment to moment with the life-giving energy of the ocean, replenished, renewed. And so the little wave, thinking it's doing everything. It believes it's the ocean. It believes it's the light. It believes it's the power. Ultimately, can realize through true humility. Right. That's the antidote to shame or feeling inadequate or feeling not enough. That comes from letting go of the ego, allowing that balloon to deflate, allowing that balloon. Stephen, silence your ego, and what will rise? Your power will rise from Dr. Strange, right? So it's all about finding union with Source, with the whole of life here and now. And now that little wave sinks down into the depth of the ocean. Sinks down into the depths of the ocean. That little wave becomes the ocean.
Yeah.
And now you're truly humbled because because it's just this magnificence that the whole of life, the whole of the ocean, can flow through you.
Yeah.
And is listening to you, and hears your prayers, and hears your intention, and rushes in to fulfill that when you are one and united with it.
Definitely. And even when you see Zuko and Iroh begging, Iroh is fine to do a dance for someone,
right,
for a copper piece. Like, it's perfect, right? Like, he doesn't have shame because he's not like, oh, I was a great member of the Fire Nation family.
Right.
That's beneath me, right?
Right. That's all self-reflection. That's all ego looking at itself, right? When we're all little children, we don't have that. We just are who we are. Run around naked. We run around or screaming. We don't care, right? Because we're one with the whole of life.
Yeah.
Now we forget that. Now we don't want to run around naked, run around crazy.
No, of course.
But we've lost the connection. See, in that age, we are alpha theta brainwaves mostly as children, young children, innocent, pure. And we've lost that, and we're looking to regain that. We're looking to regain that sense of wonder, that magic of just being alive.
Yeah. Now, the big thing, because I think we're talking about ego, and this is the perfect way to the last one. This last one is not an Iroh quote. Whoa, crazy shock, right?
Yeah.
This is actually the person that Iroh talks to the most, which is Zuko throughout the show. So this kind of gets thrown away, this line,
I find. God, though, it's one of the best lines.
Zuko tries to imitate what Iroh would say to him. And
what would Uncle Iroh say to me?
What would Uncle Iroh say to me?
What would he tell me right now?
Which is, Zuko, you must look within yourself to save yourself from your other self. Only then will your true self reveal itself.
Oh my God.
And the joke is, I think that line is thrown off where it's like, oh, it's like way too convoluted.
It's like babble, right? It's like what?
Oh, I don't get what my uncle's saying. This is what I hear in my head.
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense. But there's something more to this because there's actually truth beneath it, and it's hard to see that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. This sounds like Zuko just rambling, and it's funny, right? We're all laughing at it because it sounds insane, and it sounds complete babblish, but it's so true. So let's break it down. Let's break down the quote. The first part of it is...
Yeah, so Zuko, you must look within yourself to save yourself from your other self.
Oh, okay. So just think about this for a second. We've talked about this many times. You must turn within. We've already talked about this already, right? You must look within yourself. Come home. Let go of the outer world. Be still. Be present. Come here and now. What does that do? You discover your capital self, the one that you are. You find your universal self beyond the individual self that you've known yourself to be. Remember, we always talk about who you think you are is the problem. Who you think you are is the bundle of conditioning, reactive, subconscious, and visible programming that keeps you from realizing your deeper true self.
Yeah.
Okay? And those programs, buttons get pushed and those programs kick up and run. And we just say, oh, that's just the way we are. That's just who we are. It's my personality. Why? Well, it's because of all these experiences I've had in the past that have made me this way. It's not what you are. It's who you think you are, and it's who you know yourself to be. It's the character of fiction that you play out on the stage of life right now, but it's not what you truly are. What you truly are is an infinite, divine, magnificent being.
Oh, perfect.
What you truly,
Only then will your true self reveal itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Only then, only when you get beyond the reactive bundle of conditioning, only when you become present, only when you can become still, only when you can enter that state of grace in this moment, does that light emerge. Now you've settled down all the reactive conditioning. Now you've gone from that individual and your awareness has expanded into the universal nature of being. You've gone from the water drop to the ocean.
Yeah.
And now that inner light shines forth and your true self that was always there.
Yeah.
It's not like it wasn't there. It's always there. But you didn't know. We know thyself.
Yeah.
None of us really know thyself, right? So that true self is able to shine forth and emerge, and we fall in love with life again. Why? Because we are love itself.
Yes.
We are love itself. And then this is so amazing, Josh, because it's not about self-improvement, trying to always fix the broken idea of who we think we are and improve it. And we never get there. We never get there because we're ultimately a character of fiction. That wave is ultimately just the ocean in an individual expression. But it is the ocean. So instead of always trying to improve ourselves, always trying to get somewhere, always beating ourselves, always being that critic, you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, you're not this enough, you're not okay, just the way you are. Then what happens is once you turn within yourself and that light emerges, you become still, you become present. Now, only then will your true self reveal itself. Now, what you truly are, beyond who you know yourself to be, that's self. That's not self-improvement. That's self-realization. That's self-acceptance.
Yeah.
Through self-actualization, realizing the true self, the one self.
And we'll talk about that more in a future episode of InnerMedia with Zuko's self-discovery, because there's a lot more to dive into there. But it's really sweet to see Iroh's influence, even the way Zuko is like trying to interpret it, really affects his life.
It's beautiful.
So just as a little wrap up for the InnerMedia, what do you think is the most impactful Iroh quote out of the ones we talked about today?
Oh my gosh! Well, they're all really great. I mean,
of course, yeah.
I think today in our world, I think what's so important is to remember that one. Sometimes the best way to solve your problems,
is to help someone else.
Solve their problems, because we're all one, and really that gets us out of ourselves. It gets us beyond that conditioning. And you know what? When we start giving to others, we realize the depths within us that we even have to give. We realize the magic, the energy. It comes alive again in us, and it just lights us up. And isn't that a beautiful way to shine away the darkness within ourselves by bringing the light to someone else?
Yeah, which goes perfectly into my favorite Iroh quote, which is, pride is not the opposite of shame, but it's its source. True humility is the only antidote to shame. So get over yourself and help other people.
By giving. Because it is the answer. Giving is receiving, right? Life is a mirror.
Exactly. So that was InnerMedia. Thank you so much for talking about Avatar again. We love doing this, so I don't know why I'm really thanking you.
That was
this
great.
Is just,
no, I'm glad we finally did
right?
this. We've been talking about this for a while.
I know. So this was our Iroh Tea Shop episode on InnerMedia. We're going to have more Avatar and more other movies and TV shows we talk about. So keep checking out YouTube, like and subscribe. If there was an Iroh quote we missed or something in Avatar you want to hear us talk about, make sure you comment. But also you can more directly message us on the ba 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 ba, and then we're going to have the realu.net pop up right down there. If you go there, you can sign up for the newsletter, see what's coming out when, and message you more directly as well. So
absolutely.
You can comment on YouTube if you'd like as well, or on Podbean or whatever form. But please let us know, because we love talking about Avatar. We got more Avatar. We got more other things. We want to hear stuff that you guys want us to talk about.
Yeah.
So thank you for tuning into our... we are just patrons of the Jasmine Dragon, and we are happy to share any Iroh wisdom we can. So take care, guys.
Thanks, everyone.